Haley is certainly thinking of New Hampshire and probably DeSantis as well. And I think this is a setup for the next competition where there's a little more time. But again, the numbers still show that the former president is overwhelmingly in the lead and far ahead of them.
I do want to talk about something we did not hear from Ron DeSantis. He started out this whole campaign about wokeness and, all these sort of, social issues that he saw as something like transgender health care bans, wokeism. But he did talk about abortion this time and pointed out something that distinguished him in some ways from Donald Trump, especially in a state like Iowa. Will this work because evangelical voters are such a high number of those who are going to go to the caucuses, go to the polls?
Well, he's desperately trying to find something to distinguish himself and to define himself as an alternative who's still most loyal to the conservative base. But I think many evangelical voters are still willing to go with former President Trump and believe that with the Supreme Court and other federal court appointments, he delivered what they wanted. And the Dobbs decision was in many ways a product of the Trump presidency, and they will not forget that.
But in many states, including in Florida, that just happened this morning, there is an abortion rights group that has said, look, we're going to try, have signatures. We're going to try to get a constitutional amendment on the ballot. Those amendments have been largely successful in places like Kansas. So is this really what the voters want to hear? Or could this be a stumbling block for him, too?
Oh, it could be a big one. Look, it might be what a large number of Republican caucus and primary voters want to hear, but it's pretty clear that in the general electorate, including in red states, this is not a popular issue. So come general election time, if there's one issue that might really drive Democratic turnout and hurt Republicans, reproductive rights is the issue. So it's kind of it's a risky move, I think, if the Republicans go all in on this question.
All right, let's move to Nikki Haley. DeSantis was considered at the beginning the most likely person to be able to beat Trump. He was the one that Donald Trump campaign focused on right from the beginning, but he has not. He's stumbled. He's not lived up to that. It is Nikki Haley who has really risen over these past months and gained momentum, especially in New Hampshire. She's focused on New Hampshire very, very strongly and also talked about her own state, although Donald Trump has the numbers there. Here's what she said about, she talked about Iowa in sort of a negative way that, she's going to move on to New Hampshire. Here's what she said to try to clean that up.
And I trust you. I trust every single one of you. You know how to do this. You know Iowa starts it. You know that you correct it. You know that you continue to go.
We banter against each other on different things. New Hampshire makes fun of Iowa. Iowa makes fun of South Carolina. It's what we do.
Is that line going to work? Because I think some people were offended by her sort of brushing off Iowa, saying, well, I've got New Hampshire.
Yeah, voters are not always forgiving, especially in the competition between the different states at this part of the nomination process. She's made a couple of problematic statements from her statements about the Civil War, which did include slavery, to this. And part of it, look, the media is now looking at her. It's focused on her. This is what comes with success. And so these mistakes can add up. But again, I don't think this is the big issue. The big issue for her is the fact that Trump is doing so well and might have a lead that is insurmountable, barring a conviction in one of these trials that are going on.
Yeah, and that's what the polling numbers tell us as well. Jillian Zelzer, thank you so much for coming on this morning and explaining all that. And on Wednesday, just 5 days before the Iowa caucuses, which are in just 10 days, don't miss the CNN Republican presidential debate live from Iowa, moderated by Jake Tapper and Dana Bash. It all starts January 10th, 9 p.m. Eastern. Be here or be square.
These men disappeared 48 hours ago.
We are this close. You gotta stop now.
I should never have touched this case.
True Detective Night Country, streaming exclusively on Max.
Here's to 1 year bolder. Nutrition for now. Not flossing well? Then add the whoa of Listerine to your routine. New science shows Listerine is 5 times more effective than floss at reducing plaque above the gum line for a cleaner, healthier mouth. Listerine, feel the whoa.
Bye-bye cough.
Later chest congestion. Hello, 12 hours of relief.
12 hours? Not coughing? Hashtag still not coughing?
Mucinex DM gives you 12 hours of relief from chest congestion and any type of cough, day or night. Mucinex DM. It's comeback season.
Books change people's lives.
He's gonna find me a mockingbird. Daddy, that mockingbird don't sing. He's gonna find me a diamond ring. And if that diamond ring don't shine, he's gonna break. I'm lying down the wire. I keep on telling everybody, say, whoa, 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 whoa. Now hear me now. We lost it one.
That was great. That was great.
We got one that all three of us are.
Go ahead. Do one more. Go ahead.
Jam. Now I hate really. First my motor goes so kind of water. Jam. Now I hate to be late. Hurts my motor goes so. Time to get home, myself a be cold. Damn, this traffic jam.
15 minutes to go 3 o'clock. Just in time to stand in line on the freeway with my parking lot.
Damn, this traffic jam. Now I hate to be late. Hurts my motor goes so slow. Time to get home, myself a be cold. Damn, this traffic jam.
I know. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Damn, this traffic jam. I hate to be late. Hurts my motor goes so slow. Time to get home, myself be cold. Damn, this traffic jam.
When I don't want no more.
Strap me in
behind the wheel and bury me in my Lord.
Damn, this traffic jam. Go on. Time to get home, myself be cold. Damn, this traffic jam.
Man, love that. I can't wait till you guys till it gets back to normal and you guys start turning around and you come to Oklahoma City. I want to come and see y'all. I would even love to sing with you. I love James Taylor, like a little. When this old world starts getting me down, just too much for me to face.
Keep going.
I'm way up to the top of the stairs, and all my cares just flow right into space.
Keep going.
You guys need Phil to come join us.
As peaceful as can be, and darling, there is room enough for 3. I think that's the words. I don't really know the words.
Keep guys. I forgot to mention Phil. Phil has 100. Phil's got 120 million views on his page, all singing.
Well, it's really nice to meet you, Phil, and you have a beautiful voice. And you have a good singer.
Hey.
One verse of my father sits at night with no light is on.
Love it.
That is, I can't
do it. Come on, do it.
Yeah, come on.
In the dark, the living room is still. I walk by, no remark. Let's just go right to the chorus. Okay, what is it? So hey, it's time we moved in together and raised a family of our own, you and me. Well, that's the way I've always heard it should be. Do you want to marry me? Well,
Thank you so much for coming on. This was great. Really good.
Thank you for having us. And
Great.
Phil, am I correct that you are an officer of the law?
Used to be.
I was in the military and a cop for 40 years. I retired last April, and
Well,
now.
thank you for your service. Thank you very much.
Thank you for saying that. But yeah, if you guys ever come through Oklahoma City, I would love to come see you guys.
Is that where you are right now?
Yeah, I'm in Oklahoma City. That's where I live.
Maybe we can come to your house for dinner.
You can. Hey, come down and sing.
He'll fix you some
A
dinner.
dinner and a
Right?
show. A dinner and a show. Well, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you, gentlemen, for having us. It was a real pleasure. Thank you. We hope to get this show up and running really soon as the world becomes up and running again. So be safe, be well, and we'll look forward to next time. It was nice meeting you all. Thank you.
Same here.
Same here. Byron Smith, Mary McCrink, guys, thank you so much for coming on. A celebration of Taylor, Simon, and King. Listen, it's can't miss. It's can't miss, guys. Thank you so much for coming on.
Bye. Thank you. It's been
See you
fun.
later.
Take care, you
And
guys.
Frankie, we love you, pal.
Love you too, brother. Thank you.
Take care, my man.
All right, thanks. Phil, sounded
Great
great.
there, Frankie. Okay,
All
buddy.
right.
Oh, Phil, that was great. We knew that would be great, and they did not disappoint, my friend.
Man, they are fantastic.
Yeah, no, that was really amazing. Philly, I wanted to get you in. I wanted you to jump in because I knew they'd be very impressed with you, bud.
Yeah, I wasn't going to at first because I mean they are good, and I wanted them to get all the attention. But I had to jump in there and sing a little James Taylor.
Did you see their faces? They were like, "Wait a minute, this guy's pretty good."
Technology installed.
Lake Nethu, and I'm the host of the Humankind Connection. Our show features stories of heroism, special relationships, and moments that truly show the best of humanity. We hope you'll join us right here on the USA Today channel.
Hello, and welcome to The Excerpt. I'm Dana Taylor. In the run-up to the Capitol attacks of January 6, 2021, several networks started promoting a narrative that was at odds with the political reality. The biggest among them was Fox News. The host claimed the election had been stolen. Their guest said that Trump was actually the legitimate and rightful winner. And then there was Tucker Carlson, who night after night accused Dominion voting systems of rigging the election in favor of Joe Biden. None of it was true. Yet media mogul Rupert Murdoch swore that he would never knowingly deceive his audience. So how did it happen? And more importantly, how can we preserve the integrity of our elections while still making room for divergent political perspectives? Here to help me dig into it is author and media journalist Brian Stelter. His latest book, Network of Lies, The Epic Saga of Fox News, Donald Trump, and the Battle for American Democracy, is on bookshelves now. Brian, thanks for joining us.
Great to be here. Thank you.
The Dominion versus Fox lawsuit forced the network to release thousands of potentially revealing, even embarrassing emails and texts between hosts and producers. And you dug into those court documents. What were the biggest nuggets that you found?
Yeah, I felt like this big lie litigation was and is really important. There are still many cases underway against networks like Newsmax and figures like Rudy Giuliani, who pushed the election lies in 2020. In fact, these lawsuits, they're probably going to keep going past the 2024 election. But because Dominion and Fox settled in April, we know there is at least a blueprint for these cases. Dominion gained almost $800 million from Fox as a result of the lawsuit. But before the settlement happened, Dominion provided so many of those internal emails and text messages through the pre-trial filings that they put out in court. So these documents, they're really important because they provide an on-the-record expose of what was going on inside Fox after Joe Biden was named president-elect. It was Fox and all the other major networks that called the election, that projected the election for Biden. It was very clear that Trump had lost. But because stars like Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity panicked, they freaked out. The audience also freaked out. Fox's audience did not want to hear the truth. And so what you see in these emails and text messages is a tug of war between what is true and what these hosts and executives want to be true. And ultimately, the lies oftentimes won out. The lies oftentimes were the prevailing narrative on Fox. There was a remarkable message from Suzanne Scott, the CEO of Fox News Media, saying the fact-checking of Trump on air has to stop. It's, quote, bad for business. And that was the sad truth back then. It was bad for business for Fox to tell the truth that Trump had lost.
Did any of the content that you got your hands on prove definitively that Tucker Carlson knew that claims that the election was stolen were lies?
The Tucker case is complicated because on the one hand, he is privately saying to his colleagues in emails and text messages that he hates the fraud claims. And he clearly doesn't believe at least some of them because he mocks Sidney Powell, who was the Trump-aligned lawyer who was pushing Dominion smears on Fox's airwaves. So that's happening on one side. On the other side, he feels the need to be, how I would describe it, as lie adjacent. He feels the need to at least seem open-minded, seem amenable to the possibility that Trump was actually the winner. And he's continued that to this day, by the way, hinting and suggesting that there was something nefarious happening without actually having any proof. That, of course, that is what's helped Trump's reelection bid.
Well, Brian, I thought it was interesting that you described Tucker as being out of touch, living in a bubble. He had and still has a huge following. So who was he out of touch with, and how small was the bubble?
The way that I describe it in Network of Lies, Tucker Carlson's world kind of shrank during the Trump years. As he became a bigger and bigger star, as he became more and more extreme in his rhetoric, more radicalized on the air, he also, he became unglued and he shut himself off. He moved out of Washington, D.C., for example, and retreated to his compound in Florida and his home in Maine on an island, literally on an island in Maine, He was not going into the office anymore. He was not seeing his colleagues in person very often. He was not seeing the head of the network in person. So I think it closed him off a little bit from the outside world and even from the Fox world. And certainly I had several sources who are close to Tucker, still are close to Tucker, who said to me, this period changed him. The Trump era and then COVID really changed him. I've known him 20 years. Those are not the ideas of Tucker from 10 years ago. That's a newer person that's emerged. And he's not hearing countervailing points of view or inconvenient facts. And by the way, this is about much more than Carlson. This is about tens of millions of people in the United States who have totally walled themselves off from hearing countervailing facts and opinions. They only want to hear what they already believe to be true. And in that environment, a lot of ugly things can happen and have happened.
Well, you mentioned sources, and I know that some of the sources for your book worked or still work at Fox News. Why were they willing to speak with you, and what were some of the most surprising things that they were willing to share with you?
Yeah, I've had sources inside Fox for years because of my job covering cable news, covering television news. And, sources are motivated to leak for all sorts of reasons. I would say the most common reason is that they're frustrated by management or what they consider mismanagement, or they're frustrated by the content that's airing on the network. And this is not unique to Fox, but it's much more intense, much more exacerbated. Fox, because you have this battle, this push and pull between a news operation that might lean to the right, might be conservative, but is trying to report the news, versus a propaganda operation, an opinion operation that feels very far from reality oftentimes and is pushing extremist narratives that can be very hurtful. So you have this back and forth, a tug of war between the news side and the propaganda side. So some of these sources leak because they're engaging in that battle.
Brian, as you know, the Fairness Doctrine, which was repealed in 1987, required broadcasters to provide fair and balanced coverage. It was even Fox's slogan at one point, which they dropped in 2017. Do you think the major cable news networks and their viewers would benefit from some version of the Fairness Doctrine being reinstated?
In some ways, the public would benefit, but I don't think it's even possible to contemplate. Because back then, in the 70s and the 80s, the media existed and relied on scarcity. There were only a few networks. It was hard to be a publisher. It cost a lot of money to publish. We now live in a media environment of abundance, where the cost of publishing is zero, where all of us are members of the media. All of us are creating content, just posting a picture on Instagram or posting an update on Facebook. So we've moved from a world of scarcity to abundance. And in a world of abundance, there's no way to even have a fairness doctrine. There's no way to regulate or manage the sheer volume of content that is being published at any given time. Now, you could say there are still public airwaves. That's true. The broadcast networks do still have to abide by certain FCC rules. But the broadcasters become less and less relevant, less and less important in this overwhelming digital age.
Okay, so Rupert Murdoch, he's a conservative news media titan. And his perspective on political issues, like it or not, is a protected right in this country. Yelling fire in a crowded theater on the other.
Undersecretary Mayorkas has practiced catch and release policies whereby illegals are detained but then released without any mechanism to ensure they show up to court for processing. By terminating contracts for border wall construction, ending the migrant protection protocols, which is Remain in Mexico, unlawfully granting categorical parole, and being complicit in ending Title 42, Mayorkas has made it easier for illegal aliens and drugs to enter the United States, endangering American citizens. and has made it harder for CBP to expel such threats. Alejandro Nicolas Mayorkas, in his inability to enforce the law, has engaged in a pattern of conduct that is incompatible with his duties as a civil officer of the United States. Alejandro Nicolas Mayorkas, in his failure to uphold the oath he took, has, by his actions, lost the trust of the citizens of the United States to faithfully execute the laws of the United States. Wherefore, Alejandro Nicolas Mayorkas thus warrants impeachment and trial, removal from office, and disqualification to hold and enjoy any office of honor, trust, or profit under the United States. The form of the resolution is as follows. Resolution impeaching Alejandro Nicolas Mayorkas, Secretary of Homeland Security, for high crimes and misdemeanors. Resolved that Alejandro Nicolas Mayorkas, Secretary of Homeland Security, is impeached for high crimes and misdemeanors, and that the following articles of impeachment be exhibited to the United States Senate. Articles of impeachment exhibited by the House of Representatives of the United States of America in the name of itself and of the people of the United States of America against Alejandro Nicolas Mayorkas, Secretary of Homeland Security, in maintenance and support of impeachment against him for high crimes and misdemeanors. Article 1. Rather than adhering to an oath he took to defend and secure our country and uphold the Constitution when he was sworn in as Secretary of Homeland Security, Alejandro Nicolas Mayorkas has engaged in a pattern of conduct that is incompatible with the laws of the United States as follows. Article 2 of the Constitution requires that the executive branch, which today includes the Secretary of Homeland Security, ensure the laws passed by Congress and signed into law by the President are faithfully executed. The Secure Fence Act of 2006, Public Law 109 through 367, requires that the Secretary of Homeland Security maintain operational control over the entire international land and maritime borders of the United States. In his willful admittance of border crossers, terrorists, human traffickers, drugs, and other contraband, Alejandro Nicolas Mayorkas has failed to maintain operational control of the border, thereby violating the Secure Fence Act of 2006. The guarantee clause set forth in Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution dictates, the United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government and shall protect each of them against invasion and on application of the legislature or of the executive when the legislature cannot be convened against domestic violence. The guarantee clause clearly dictates that the federal government has a constitutional duty and obligation to protect each of the states from invasion. As Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas has violated his oath to uphold this constitutional duty by allowing the invasion of approximately 10 million illegals across our borders. The ongoing invasion at our southern border is a direct national security threat against the states and against the citizens therein. Secretary Mayorkas has willfully abandoned his duty to secure the border and protect states against invasion, thereby violating Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution. To wit, since Mayorkas has headed the Department of Homeland Security, there have been approximately 10 million illegal border crossers who have invaded our country at our border. This is broken down between 8 million encounters and approximately 1,800,000 known gotaways who have evaded United States authorities and are roaming the interior of the United States. At least 280 people on terrorist watch lists caught while attempting to cross the border between ports of entry. Approximately 400,000 unaccompanied illegal alien children encountered at the southern border with at least 85,000 of these children having gone missing. At least 1,424 deaths of illegals at the southern border. Approximately 73,000 special interest aliens arrested at our border, which are aliens from a nation that promotes terrorist activity, harbors terrorists, or poses a security threat to the United States. This is the number arrested at the border, not counting however many of the 1,800,000 known gotaways are special interest aliens. Approximately 659 special interest aliens from Iran. Approximately 6,386 special interest aliens from Afghanistan. Approximately 538 special interest aliens from Syria. Approximately 3,153 special interest aliens from Egypt. Approximately 12,624 special interest aliens from Uzbekistan. Approximately 30,830 special interest aliens from Turkey. Approximately 1,613 special interest aliens from Pakistan. Approximately 164 special interest aliens from Lebanon. Approximately 185 special interest aliens from Jordan.